Hey guys, it's Alexis. I'm back with another video. I just felt compelled to share this message mostly for myself. I feel like anytime I make these videos, it's really because it's something that I'm feeling should be applied to myself. But nonetheless, I feel like it's also good to just share and what have you. So I want to talk about your dreams and really emphasize the point that your dreams can be boring. Um, Boring, I say that in quotations, because what is boring or even what is a dream to one person might not be a dream or might not be boring to another person. But I think it's really important to figure out what you want. And to add to that, I will say in the process of figuring out what you want, you might think to yourself, this is why I think sometimes I think about like the things that I want to do and the things that I want to accomplish. I'm like, bro, that is like so boring. It's like I don't even, it's not flashy, it's not like big or major or anything like that. And, I think one, that's like a really negative way to look at things. But two, I think we're so used to seeing people with like these super big, outlandish, like million, billion, $1 trillion ideas that we sometimes don't consider the fact that they started off with small ideas or they started off with small goals or they started off with things that we might look at and be like, okay, that's something like fairly simple, and it takes a buildup. When I say buildup, I don't necessarily mean time. I'm not saying that you have to go step by step by step and slowly build up, because I don't necessarily believe that anymore, and I'm training myself to not believe that. But I do think that when you're in the beginning stages of like recognizing your dreams and your goals and really figuring out like what it is that you want to do, I think it's okay to have like boring dreams. Um, I won't share all of my dreams, obviously. I do like to keep them private, but I do have a couple of goals and a couple of dreams, and I do sometimes sit back like, man, I should go bigger, I should go harder, I should be thinking more out there, more extravagant. Like I should want to impact more people. But then I have to remind myself like you are going in the direction. First of all, you're going in the right direction, but you're going at the pace and at the speed that you need to right now. Like the things that you are thinking right now are for you right now. It's not for the you that you can be. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling and kind of just like shooting from the hip with this video, but like for example, one of my goals is to own a house, own property, and you know, actually no, scratch that. One of my goals I would say is to move out. I'm currently living with family, and one of my goals is like to move out, get my own place, my own apartment or a townhouse or whatever. And to some people, that might be like, okay, that's like, at your age, like that goal, you should have been done that pretty much, right? And I think a lot of people can relate to that. You have family members who say, okay, you should have been moved out, you should have been had, this, that, the other. And then you compare yourself to your peers or to other people your age, and you're kind of like, man, I feel like I'm behind. And I have felt like that before. But then I realized like that is a very valid goal to have for where I'm at and from the situation that I'm getting out of. And one of my favorite things to think about, I've been telling myself, is like, you know, all these great people who have done great things. Like, if you think about, you know, Oprah Winfrey, or if you think about like, excuse me, if you think about like Jeff Bezos, or, just a lot of people who have amassed large amounts of money and energy and, they're inspirational to others. Like, they could not do what they're doing if they were sleeping on, their friend's couch, or if they were, just bumming it across the country. Like they had to get to that point. And a lot of them actually came from similar positions in which they didn't have their own, you know, foundation, and they had to build that foundation. So when I think about my smaller, more boring dreams, I am not too hard on myself, because I'm like, the impact that I want to have and the people that I want to help, it's it's going to happen, and it's just like I have to build myself up to that. It's not going to happen if, I don't have stable income, or and I'm not saying like this is me, but I'm just giving examples. Like if you don't have stable income, if you're constantly depending on people for things, if you've never really sat down and gotten serious about your future and thought about like, okay, I have a plan, this is what I want to do, these are the goals that I want to accomplish. Like if you haven't thought about any of that, you can't even get to the point where you're helping hundreds or thousands of or millions of people with your product or your service or your story, right? So I think having goals that aren't super flashy and having goals that might seem like boring to others, I think that's okay. And I think that once you kind of get the ball rolling and you start checking off some of the smaller things and you start building up that belief in yourself, it just completely takes off from there because you have to think too, we are reprogramming ourselves. Like when you think about personal development, self-development, when you think about shifting your mindset, shifting your paradigm, you are completely changing the ways in which you think. And a lot of us never had to think, right? Especially now with social media too, but I feel like in school, you're pretty much taught what to think and how to think. We're social humans are social beings. So even still, you kind of do what your friends are doing or your community is doing, or you do what your family is doing. So this might be the first time in your life that you're actually having to think for yourself. And so I know like with me, I used to get frustrated because I'm like, man, like I feel like I'm so basic. Like I'm thinking of these basic ideas. I'm thinking of these basic things. I don't even think that my thoughts are my own. And it kind of made me want to give up. But you can't give up because once you start recognizing that and once you start, kind of building upon that, it's just like it's going to start to snowball. Now, the ideas that I have now versus the ideas that I was having maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's just like a complete 180. Like my ideas are bigger. Mind you, I know that they're not even the biggest ideas that I can have. And I'm still working through some things like self-doubt, and I'm still working through, actually knowing the potential that I have and knowing that I can do pretty much anything that I put my mind to, and if I can see it in my imagination, I know that I can have it in this life. Um, but yeah, I kind of went on a tangent, but don't get like, discouraged or upset if you feel like you're behind. Don't get discouraged and upset if you feel like you're not thinking big enough or, like you just want to be done already. You just want to be like, at the place where you're like, okay, I'm good. I have everything that I need. I'm chilling. Like that place will never come. And I'm slowly starting to realize it, even at this early stage of my personal development. Like, I'm starting to realize that moment of like, I've made it. Like, well, I'm done. Nothing more to do here. That's not going to come. There's always going to be something like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always going to be something to improve upon. So again, just back to the original point of the video, it's okay if your dreams are boring. It's okay if your dreams are, something that you think, oh, well, everybody should have that, or everybody should have done that, or even at my age or at my situation and this and that. Like, you are uniquely you. It's okay to be behind, quote unquote. And really, you're not behind because I feel like everything happens in its own timing. And maybe sometimes what you feel like is being behind is actually the universe or God or however you want to say it, preparing you for what's to come next. Maybe sometimes you needed that extra time in that situation to really understand, like what it is that's happening and to really prepare you for the next step. So don't get discouraged, guys. Have boring dreams. If you want to, I mean, just some examples. If you want to have a job that others might consider boring, if you want to open a bank account, if like that's your dream, you've never had a bank account before, you've never been financially responsible, and now you're like, okay, I want to have a savings account and a business account and a checking account. That's my goal. Like those are boring goals, or those are goals that some people might see as like, okay, whatever, but it's your goal. So just keep pushing forward in the right direction. And as you tick off those, boring boxes or those smaller boxes, it will lead to larger ones. So just keep going, keep thinking, keep challenging yourself in different ways, and you'll get to where you need to go. All right. I'll talk to you guys at the next one.